Alright, so today I simply must review JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. This is part one. Phantom Blood is the subtitle. I think I've watched the whole show before, and so I kind of have an idea of how it goes, but I'm just reviewing season one now. So no spoilers for the other ones. I will say, out of all the seasons, I think that Jonathan is probably one of my favorite JoJo's. I like how, like a lot of people, I guess, think he's kind of boring, and I could see how people would get that kind of impression. Um, but I really liked how he kind of had like the honorable, like gentleman, whole thing going on, and I appreciated how his code of honor, like, kind of guided him through the encounters and whatnot. And so, yeah, I liked his relationship with Arena Pendleton, I think was her last name, and it was a cute couple, They kind of met each other when they were young and spent a lot of time together and got close, and I thought that was cool. How he kind of had a connection with someone, and then later on, like, they kind of lose touch because of the villain of the season, and then she comes back and they end up getting together. That was cute. That was real cute, dude. And then I guess with Dio, like big bad villain, he's just kind of a scumbag. Like, I don't know what the reason that he becomes so kind of violent and opportunistic, I guess, is what I would call him. It seems like that was his major concern, is just assuring his future goes well, maybe. And so once he finds out about the mask and unlocks the powers of the mask, he sees it as his way out. I think he would have really just been content with getting the money, inheriting the Joestar fortune and continuing on as a rich guy. I think that was his opportunity, right? That's why I say he's an opportunist. But then once he discovers the powers of the mask and the ability to become immortal and powerful and all powerful and ruling, right? He sees that as his next opportunity. It's almost like a pathology of having to get to the best place that you can. And so that's what I felt about him in particular. I liked Dio a lot, like, in that it seems like it makes sense what he's doing, right? He's not just doing stuff for no reason. And he does have, like, a little bit of a sense of honor, which I've kind of noticed in that season at least. Because it's like he wouldn't let people insult, I guess, was one thing. And he very much had kind of like a survivalist mentality of, like, I need to get higher up on the ladder. Like, I need to climb. And you see that with, in the beginning, he tells Jonathan he doesn't like dogs because they'll, like, fawn over the unworthy. I think he says something like that. And I thought that was an interesting kind of take. He sees a dog and he doesn't like it, not because there's anything wrong with the dog itself, but because it likes someone who's lesser. Like, the dog will hang out with, like, a person who's not high up on the totem pole. It'll just play with its master, whoever it is, and it can be happy. And I think that's kind of the opposite of Dio's mentality of only things that are worthy, deserve any sort of respect. And so, yeah, I just thought that was interesting. And he kills that one little man dog at one point because it laughed, like, inappropriately or did something like that. And I like that in a character that he does seem to have a motivation beyond just, like, I'm going to be evil. His idea is climbing and striving for a greater purpose, kind of. And then, yeah, with Jonathan, I liked how he had that focus on honor, and those two things clash a lot, because being a gentleman and being honorable is you protect the weaker, but being kind of that mindset of growth and other things that are lesser are, like, worthy of nothing more than, like, consumption and, like, use, right? You could see how those two would clash. So that was a good kind of philosophical grounds for them to fight on. And then who else was in it? I thought Baron Zeppeli was an interesting mentor. How he came along. He didn't seem like a super old mentor. He just was there. He was trained and he was learning and he taught the hero the secret power that he would need to defeat the villain. And he wasn't around for too long. Like, that's what I thought was really interesting is how he's not even there for, you know, more than a few episodes. He gets, like, killed pretty quickly after by the two knights, which I think the knights are really, a good villain to have, right? But I think that Baron Zeppeli getting destroyed in order to do something so simple as just like set JoJo free and then give him his energy, multiplying his followers or his pupils' energy, and then he's able to defeat the bad guy at the ending because of that, right? I think that was really like a powerful message, of sacrifice and being able to do what he knew needed to be done because he had the idea ahead of time given to him by his master, like, this is the fate and you can do nothing but fulfill your destiny, kind of. Yeah, and so let's see, who else was there? I really liked, one thing that I really liked about this season was Speedwagon, how he's just like this random ruffian who comes in and he's gonna do Jonathan in just to get a quick buck. And then he realizes, like, whoa, like, there's another way to live life, you don't have to be that opportunistic kind of, like, scavenger that he was originally. And he joins up with Jonathan, and for the rest of the season, he is just there to help however he can. And at the end, he's the one who gets to smash the mask, which I thought was really interesting, how it was like, he helped any way that he could, and like he doesn't not do anything heroic. Like, at one point the kid's falling and he catches the kid, stops him from slapping into the ground and getting damaged. And he also, like, has his sense of honor, and he sees that in Jonathan, and like begins to live that kind of life alongside Jonathan. I thought that was really cool. The first time I watched through the season, I was like, what? This guy's still around? Is he going to die off or what? But then he, like, becomes a major facet of the season. And watching through the second time, like, it's just cool how it's such like a little side quest. Jonathan goes on to go get the antidote or whatever, or find the source of the poison, and then he finds like a lifelong friend out of it. And that's how I've found like meeting lifelong friends is. You don't show up and be like, I'm gonna meet a lifelong friend here. You just run across someone, and then you have that understanding between each other that is pretty rare. And so when you find someone like that, hold on to them, because that's a good friendship. In a friendship bud, I would say you have a lot of potential there when you have like a connection to someone that you feel okay. And I think that's kind of unrelated, but I liked how that's how things panned out, right? And let's see, who else was there? There was also the side characters. There was like the cops. They didn't do a whole lot. George Joestar, I believe his name was. He was Jonathan's father, and he like really kind of passed on the gentlemanly way to carry yourself to his son, and he keeps that up until the end. He sacrifices himself for his son so that he can continue living, And then there was, at the very end, right, the finale, the battle between Jonathan and Dio, where Dio comes in, and this is the one part I thought was kind of cheap, is when Dio's like a head in a jar, and he just like shoots the lasers out of his eyes, and is able to basically just like screw everything up, and ends up killing Jonathan, and Irina's the only survivor along with some baby that they just pick up randomly. Again, like that random kind of, I don't know if it's serendipity, if that's the right word, but how she ends up with a baby that it's just there, There's nothing special. There's no setup to it. It's just, oh, you gotta save that baby over there. Just go save the baby. And that's the reason she ends up living. And, oh man, that was sad, right? When Jonathan's dying and Irina's saying, like, oh, I'm just gonna stay here. Like, I don't have anything to live for. But then she makes the sacrifice to keep living, like weirdly, because of the baby, and she has that duty to save the baby, and that was very like I don't know, that was touching, and it was sad when she decided like I'm gonna die here. I was like, oh man, this is tough watching this, dude. I can't believe this is happening. They're finally happy, and this is happening. Like this is terrible. And oh, my favorite quote of the season, right? I think it's Baron Zeppeli who says this. He says like the best thing in life is to love and win, and the second best is to love and lose, or something like that. And wow, that struck my heartstrings, struck a chord with me. You know, it was good stuff, and I think that was an excellent season. I really enjoyed it. That's probably like I know that they speak in a way that's kind of like poetic almost, but it almost reminds me of like reading the Iliad or the Odyssey. That like they're saying this very kind of like profound stuff, and they're speaking in a way that's yeah, it's poetic, but I enjoy it. I enjoy the way that they kind of communicate, and so ultimately, I think it's a great season. You know, I had a lot of fun watching it. I'll probably watch it again someday. It also has a very tight, concise narrative that's like it doesn't drag on at all, and it knows what story it's telling, and it doesn't go. There's no filler, right? It knows the story that it's going to tell. It tells the story, and I think it does a good job. I think it's the most focused of all the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure seasons, and it's bizarre enough to still be bizarre. So I think at the end of the day, I will give this season. Oh, and it's a dub I watched, by the way. If you thought I was rating this off the sub the whole time, then sorry to surprise you here at the end. I will ultimately give this season a 7 out of 12.